Well, well, look who's got the whole community rattled. The streets that used to buzz with gossip suddenly went quiet, like everybody's holding their breath at the same time. The ones who act tough, the ones who brag about being outside, the ones who swear they fear nothing. They're whispering now, whispering your name like it carries voltage, whispering your movements like you're a natural disaster they don't know how to predict. They're gathered in corners, doorways, dim-lit living rooms, trying to figure out how the hell everything flipped this fast. They can feel it, can't they? That pressure that rolled in the moment you stopped absorbing hits and started reflecting them. That shift in the air when the person they thought was easy to target became the reason their best hitters hesitated. There's something in you that makes grown men sweat, something that makes cowards reconsider their loyalty, something that makes their little backdoor deals collapse before they even begin. They spent months setting you up, and then you walked into the room like the assignment never existed. Here's what's really messing with their heads. You didn't retaliate. You didn't gather a crew. You didn't call in favors or flex connections. You didn't need weapons, threats, or theatrics. You just kept existing, quiet, focused, untouched, and somehow that alone broke their chain of command. They're convinced you got something backing you, something forbidden, something they can't name, something that doesn't show up on surveillance footage, but shows up in their dreams. That's why they keep watching you like they're waiting for an omen. 3 days ago, they held their own version of an emergency meeting. Not the fake tough guys who puff their chest online. The real ones, the shot callers, the ones who don't move unless the air goes heavy, the ones who don't speak unless a threat is real. 13 of them, sitting in a back room, curtains drawn, eyes low, hands shaking around old liquor like the bottle could steady their fear. And the topic of discussion? You. Your name sliding across the table like a loaded weapon. They've been tracking you. You felt it, haven't you? That disturbance in the field, that shift in the atmosphere, that quiet pressure crawling across your skin when somebody's energy is pointed your way. They've been watching you, not physically. They're smarter than that. But socially, spiritually, strategically. Watching the way people fold when you walk past. Watching the way bad luck hits anyone who stands too close to your enemies. Watching the way protection seems to blanket you without you lifting a single finger. One of the elders in that room finally said what they were all terrified to voice. This isn't normal pressure. This is something else, something that shouldn't exist in this neighborhood. And he wasn't talking about violence. He wasn't talking about retaliation. He wasn't talking about anything physical. He meant your presence, your aura, the way this entire community bent around you, like you were altering the air itself. They tried to read you, to figure out what makes you untouchable. They tried tapping into connections. They tried watching your patterns. They tried sending someone to test your boundaries. But nothing worked. Every time they got close to understanding you, something collapsed. A plan fell apart. A secret leaked. A hitter backed out. A lie surfaced. A witness snitched. It was like the ground itself flipped under their feet. One younger one tried to get information on you through a friend of a friend, and he had a panic attack mid-conversation, chest tight, breath short, like he touched the wrong frequency, trying to decode your energy. He's still recovering. So they went to the street archives, the real ones, not the stories people post online for clout, but the ones passed down by men who didn't live long enough to warn anyone twice. And buried deep in whispered warnings, they found something that made their blood run cold. Some people aren't meant to be touched. Some people aren't built. They're forged, Some people aren't protected. They are the protection. Some people don't survive pressure. They turn it into artillery. These old stories talked about people who carry a different kind of weight. People whose names are never spoken unless necessary. People who don't start wars. They end them by walking into the room. People whose trauma didn't break them. It crystallized into something lethal, something precise, something the streets were never built to handle. And the most terrifying part? The stories said these people don't even know what they are at first. They think they're just tired, just misunderstood, just minding their own business while life keeps hitting them. They have no idea they're reshaping the field just by breathing. Until one day, the streets go quiet. Until one day, the hitters hesitate. Until one day, the liars start snitching. Until one day, the community starts acting like they saw something they shouldn't have. And that day is today. It arrived through absence. Conversations died mid-sentence. Eyes lowered for no reason. Doors shut quicker. People looked away when you walked by, not because they didn't want to be seen with you, but because they didn't want to be seen studying you. Fear changes behavior long before it changes language, and right now, everybody's behavior is exposing exactly what they've been hiding. The community isn't confused, they're shaken. They're starting to realize they weren't dealing with someone normal. They weren't dealing with someone predictable. They weren't dealing with someone who plays emotional games or engages in petty drama. They were dealing with someone whose energy rearranges outcomes, whose presence flips strategies, whose spirit makes liars choke on their own intentions. That's why their bravado evaporated. That's why the gossip pipeline froze. Nobody wants to be the next name that karma drags into the spotlight. They're replaying every encounter they've had with you, every moment they judged you, every rumor they entertained, every time they stayed quiet when someone threw dirt on your name, every time they laughed at an insult that was really a confession, every time they wished for your downfall like that wish wouldn't bounce back. You becoming the center of the Whisper network changed everything. You turned into the reality check they didn't ask for, but desperately needed. The same people who once underestimated you are dealing with a truth they can't outrun. Nothing about you was ever small. Your pain wasn't small. Your lessons weren't small. Your healing wasn't small. Your intuition wasn't small. And your consequences definitely weren't small. Some of them are dealing with those consequences right now. They don't know how to function under this pressure. Some can't sleep. Some can't eat. Some wake up at 3 a.m. drenched in sweat, convinced something is watching them. Some are having dreams so vivid, they wake up checking their surroundings. Some are experiencing that eerie sensation of being exposed even when nobody is asking them questions. That's what guilt does. It becomes its own surveillance. And they're snitching because guilt always wants an exit. One of them broke down to a cousin. Another broke down to an ex. Someone else broke down to a friend who immediately repeated it to someone else. Secrets are spilling out faster than they can plug the holes, and every confession adds more weight to the collective panic surrounding your name. They're realizing that the real danger was never your retaliation. It was their accountability. The funniest part? They're confused by the way life keeps protecting you. Every setback they planned turned into a setup for their exposure. Every trap they built collapsed onto them. Every rumor they spread came back around with their fingerprints visible. They don't understand how you're still standing, still focused, still elevating. They don't understand how you keep moving like you've already seen the ending and you're not worried about the middle. It makes them feel powerless, because people who rely on external influence can't comprehend someone who relies on internal alignment. Somebody in that meeting mentioned that exact point. They said, "This one don't move like the rest of us." Another said, "It's like they know things they shouldn't know." Another whispered, "Maybe we touched the wrong one." And then the room fell dead quiet because everybody felt the weight of that last line. They didn't just pick the wrong target. They picked the one person who was built to expose them without lifting a finger. They chose someone whose spirit moves like a mirror, reflecting every intention back to the sender. They chose someone who doesn't have to avenge themselves because energy does it for them. They chose someone whose protection isn't loud, but absolute. Now the streets are circulating a new kind of rumor, one wrapped in fear, not mockery. They're calling you the one who doesn't fold, the one who doesn't break, the one who walks through pressure like pressure was the training ground that raised them. People are starting to realize something they never expected. You're not just surviving what happened. You're walking through it like the architect of consequence. Someone who betrayed you is carrying that realization harder than the rest. They thought aligning with your enemies would secure their position. They thought choosing the crowd over their conscience would protect them. But now they're watching the same crowd crumble, and they're dealing with a level of regret that feels like a spiritual chokehold. They know the streets aren't quiet because they're safe. The streets are quiet because their comfort is over. More information is coming out behind closed doors. People are confessing things they promised they'd take to the grave. Someone who played innocent is being named as the ringleader. Someone who pretended to be neutral is being exposed as the informant. Someone who swore they were loyal is being dragged out as the saboteur. And none of this required your involvement. Your name alone is doing the sorting. That's how you know your spirit is operating at a level they're not built for. You walk into a room and everybody's mask tightens. You walk into a space and people sit up straighter. You walk down a street and the atmosphere shifts, like the air itself respects your presence. You didn't ask for this power. You earned it through seasons of suffering that molded you into something they can't imitate. Now their fear is turning into superstition. They're giving you abilities you never claimed. They're creating theories to explain your resilience. They're telling each other you're protected by something, even if they don't know what that something is. They're whispering that messing with you comes with consequences they can't calculate. And the deeper this fear spreads, the more people distance themselves from the ones who plotted against you. Snitching increases when loyalty decreases, and loyalty decreases when consequences appear. Someone is about to fold publicly. Someone is about to crack under pressure and name names without being pushed. Someone is about to expose the whole operation because they don't want the spiritual blowback alone. They're terrified of what comes next. Not because of you, but because they know the truth is no longer containable. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't make threats. You didn't chase anything. You just remained aligned. And alignment is the most dangerous weapon you possess. And that's exactly where the real unraveling begins. Because once fear becomes a rumor, rumor becomes a pattern, and a pattern becomes a prophecy. People start acting differently around you, quieter, more cautious, more observant. You can see it in the way they look at you, not with curiosity, but with caution, like you're holding a switch they can't afford for you to flip. They step lightly, speak slowly and move like the walls are listening. They don't realize it yet, but they're the ones who created this version of you in their minds. They projected danger onto your name until your name started carrying the frequency of danger. They convinced themselves you were untouchable until the universe started treating you like you were. And now, the same people who swore they didn't believe in energy are praying it doesn't come for them first. The streets know something is off, and people can feel it in the air. The hush isn't just quiet, it's heavy. Heavy like a secret that wants to break out. Heavy like pressure that's looking for a crack. Heavy like something spiritual is happening and nobody wants to say it out loud. They feel eyes on them even when nobody's watching. They feel guilt tugging at their conscience, like a loose thread they can't stop pulling. They feel the consequences circling them, closing in like a cold draft in a locked room. That's why they keep whispering. That's why they keep snitching. That's why they keep pointing fingers and naming names and shifting blame. Everyone is trying to outrun accountability, but accountability runs faster than fear ever could. One of the hitters they hired, one of the main ones, the one who swore he'd never fold, he's the one cracking first. He hasn't slept properly in days. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees flashes of what he attempted to do to you. Not the physical part, the energetic part. He feels chased, haunted, cornered by the weight of the assignment he accepted. He says every time he tries to calm down, it feels like something grabs his attention from the inside. Not paranoia, not anxiety, something deeper, something he can't describe, something that makes him feel watched from the other side of his own thoughts. And that's exactly why he's talking. He told someone he'd rather deal with the law than deal with whatever spiritual consequences he feels stalking him. That right there was the trigger for the chain reaction. Because when the main hitter folds, the rest of the operation collapses. People who were confident start panicking. People who were silent start whispering. People who swore they'd never speak start calling numbers they shouldn't be calling. Someone who used to talk loud now can't look anyone in the eye. Someone who tried to seem fearless now flinches at shadows. Someone who swore they would ride for the team is suddenly not trying to go down for nobody. It's a domino effect. One confession leads to another, and the whole network of lies begins to crumble. Meanwhile, you're not even aware of half the details. You're just living your life, staying in your lane, minding your purpose, and somehow your stillness is causing a storm in households that haven't even spoken to you in years. People are pacing rooms, replaying decisions, checking messages, deleting evidence, burning bridges they once relied on. They're scared of each other now. They're scared of being the last one to speak. They're scared of being the only one held accountable. And most of all, they're scared of being wrong about you. Because being wrong about you means being vulnerable to whatever force they think is guarding you. There's someone in that community, an elder, a respected face, who knows exactly what kind of energy you carry. They've seen this before, not often, not recently, but enough to recognize it. They warned the others quietly, told them they were touching someone they should have left alone, told them this wasn't going to end the way they thought. But nobody listened because arrogance blinds fools faster than any curse ever could. Now that elder is sitting back, watching consequences unfold like a prophecy they didn't want to revisit. They're not smiling. They're not praising you. They're not taking sides. They're acknowledging a pattern that existed long before you were born. Some people are off limits, and every community has at least one. You're that one. Someone else, someone younger, is watching you too, but for a different reason. They didn't participate in anything, but they overheard conversations. They saw movements. They noticed patterns. And now they're realizing they were witnessing something bigger than petty street drama. They're realizing your presence carries a weight, their instincts respect. They look at you with a caution, laced with admiration, like they're witnessing someone who survived what others couldn't. They're noticing how you don't flinch under pressure, how you don't react to provocation, how you don't feed into rumors or threats. They're watching you walk through chaos with calmness, and it's changing them. They don't know it yet, but they're learning from you. They're learning how to navigate energy without letting fear dictate their choices. But the ones who plotted, they're learning a very different lesson. They're learning what happens when someone tries to collapse a destiny they weren't authorized to touch. They're learning what happens when you send hitters after someone the universe is protecting. They're learning what happens when you lie on someone who's spiritually aligned. They're learning what happens when you try to bury someone who grows roots under pressure. They're learning what happens when you attempt to destroy someone who doesn't crack. They transform. The more they learn, the more they break. Someone can't even look in the mirror anymore. They see guilt staring back at them, and guilt isn't merciful. Someone else is jumping at every small noise like their nerves have been rewired. Someone else is avoiding everyone, isolating themselves because they think isolation will save them from exposure. But isolation only gives guilt more room to breathe. Another one is acting overly friendly, overly helpful, overly nice because they want to hide their involvement. Desperation makes people transparent. And the streets? They're watching all of it. People are paying attention to who's acting strange, who's avoiding eye contact, who's suddenly silent, who's keeping to themselves, who's asking too many questions, who's drinking too much, who's paranoid, who's losing weight, who's losing sleep, who's losing their grip. The community knows even when they pretend they don't. People know energy shifts before stories surface. And right now, the energy is screaming louder than any confession. Someone's about to spill everything. Not because they're noble, not because they regret it, but because they're terrified. They know consequences are circling like wolves closing in. They know the spiritual backlash doesn't care about excuses. They know the pressure is about to peak. And when pressure peaks, truth spills. That's why they're preparing to fold. That's why they're calculating their exit. That's why they're choosing betrayal over loyalty. Because loyalty was never real. It was just convenient. And here's the part they didn't expect. The snitching isn't only happening inside the circle. People on the outside are talking too. Neighbors, acquaintances, bystanders, people who overheard something they weren't supposed to, people who saw someone sneaking around your house or car or job, people who caught pieces of conversations that didn't add up, people who stayed quiet until pressure made them remember details. They're coming forward indirectly, telling the wrong person at the right time. Gossip is a dangerous weapon when it lands in the hands of someone who actually cares about the truth. Meanwhile, your silence remains your strongest move. Your composure remains your armor. Your intuition remains your guide. You're moving like someone who doesn't need proof because the universe already confirmed the truth. You're moving like someone who understands that everything hidden eventually surfaces. You're moving like someone who knows protection isn't something you ask for. It's something you carry. That's what keeps them up at night. Not your words, not your actions, your existence. They don't understand how their entire operation is collapsing when you haven't lifted a finger. They're calling it supernatural. They're calling it cosmic backlash. They're calling it karma on steroids. They're calling it that thing around you. They don't know what to label it, but the label doesn't matter. What matters is the results, and the results are chasing them. Someone is already planning to leave the city because they can't handle the pressure. Someone else is deleting messages and clearing their social media because guilt is strangling their judgment. Another one is distancing themselves from the original mastermind because they don't want to be collateral damage. The mastermind? They're cracking silently. They're trying to maintain their ego while the walls close in. Their confidence is shaking. Their perception is shifting. Their pride is bleeding. They thought they were in control. They thought they had leverage. They thought they could predict every outcome. But they never predicted you surviving. They never predicted you rising. They never predicted the community turning on them. They never predicted their own people snitching. This pressure is turning them inside out. This fear is peeling them layer by layer. This truth is dismantling their illusions. Everything they built against you is folding like flimsy paper under a storm they created. And the most ironic part? They're scared of you without you doing anything. They're scared of retribution you never planned. They're scared of consequences you never threatened. They're scared of accountability you never requested. Because guilt creates its own monsters. And when guilt grows teeth, it bites hardest at the person who fed it. Your name is the weight on their conscience, the echo in their regrets, the shadow in their paranoia. You're not haunting them. They're haunting themselves with what they did to you. And the streets? They've chosen their side without saying a word. The silence is proof. The whispers are confirmation. The panic is the confession. Because when the streets go quiet, it's never peace. It's pressure. It's evidence being rearranged. It's guilt shifting from one person to another like a fever. It's tension tightening the neighborhood like a belt. People stop lingering outside.